So we did the Eastern Conference playoff. So we did the Eastern Conference off-season predictions. Now we are going to do the Western Conference off-season predictions. So starting off with Dallas, I didn't have them do much. You get Josh Okogie, and that's it. You don't have anybody outgoing, so you played so well in the second half of the year. You're like top two. You were the second best team in the NBA after you get Gafford and PJ. Now you have a full season in them, so you're just running it back. You replace Tim Hardaway Jr.'s minutes, who just is going to sit on the bench, future salary filler for the deadline or whatever, and then you replace him with Josh Okogie. Next up for Denver, after a disappointing year, I still didn't want to do too much, do something drastic. So get some backup five, which I really think you need over Zignaji. You end up sending out Zignaji with 3-team trade with Miami and Houston. You end up getting Jock Landale. Kevin McCullough you draft at 29, and then you have, or 28, sorry. Out goes Zignaji, out goes a couple second round picks as well in order to get Jock Landale. So you're running with your same starting fives, and you really same lineup, except you replace Zignaji's minutes with Jock Landale's. Next up for Golden State, this ends up being with the Bucks with what their trade was. That 3-team trade ended up being with Portland and a DeAndre Ayton trade. So you end up getting DeAndre Ayton in a trade. You get Spencer Dinwiddie. You get a couple of second round picks for Gary Payton. Out you trade. So it ends up being Gary Payton goes out to Milwaukee. You get you trade Andrew Wiggins, and you trade a protected first round pick. So you end up running with a lineup: Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, probably Chemsey, whoever ends up starting. You do sign back Klay, 2 years, $34 million. Per year in total. Jonathan Kuminga ends up going from the 4 to 5 or 4 to 3. Draymond Green, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, Spencer Dinwiddie, who you end up signing on just a mid-level exception. Pajemski, Moody, you end up giving more minutes to, and Trey Jackson Davis. For the Rockets, we discussed in the other video about getting Mikal Bridges. You end up getting Duncan Robinson as well, which we also discussed. You get the Phoenix first. Out, Dylan Brooks. You got a trade. Jeff Green leaves. Just Ashawn Trait leaves. You lose all your Nets first. And you end up, I think the lineup would go Van Vliet, Green, Bridges, Smith Jr., Shagun, and then men starting at the 1. You got Duncan playing your backup 2, Whitmore, Eason, and a fully healthy Steven Adams. So for the Clippers, they have a lot of depth already, and most of them are free agents. So for the Clippers, they have a lot of depth already. So I didn't feel the need to give them depth, and they have to focus on their two main free agents. So it is kind of more of a focus on re-signing Harden and George, which I do have them getting Harden, which I think is kind of obvious. I don't think any other team is going to sign Harden. And I do have them getting Paul George back. In Obi Toppin, you should be able to sign him out, or sign a guy with his contract value. Out, PJ Tucker leaves. That's really it, though. So you end up with the same starting 5, same backups as well, with just plugging in Obi Toppin there. So I said before that I had Brandon Ingram getting traded for DeJounte and Clint Capella. We'll talk about this for New Orleans now. It just makes a lot of sense. New Orleans needs a lead ball handler. His defense would be perfect. The defense on this team would be insane with him and Herb Jones. Clint Capella to be your Jonas Valanciunas replacement. I think he's probably going to leave. Jose Alvarado also leaves you. Jeremiah Robinson will also leave you in the Trae Young trade, or not the Trae Young trade, in the DeJounte Murray trade. You also get Bob Carrington. He's going to be just a project piece mainly. So you end up having Murray in the starting lineup, and then your bench, Dyson Daniels moves to your backup 1 Foley. You can still have Jordan Hawkins, Trey Murphy, sign back Najee Marshall. The one thing is they didn't get a backup big, which I think is definitely a big need. You end up drafting guard instead. For the Lakers, it's kind of the same old thing that they do every year, is just rebuild the bench. Isaiah Collier is your number 17 pick. He's going to be your backup 1. Dorian Finney-Smith, you end up trading Gabe Vincent 2 seconds in the Nets for him. Edmund Summer is just a free agency signing, and I did specifically say Bronny James, undrafted free agent. I think if he goes undrafted, he would choose to sign with the Lakers. I think the Lakers would be happy to sign him if they sign back LeBron James, which I do have them doing here on a 2-year deal, and that's about it. So you go same starting five as you were running last year was Collier, Sumner, Vanderbilt, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Jackson Hayes, who you re-signed, being on your bench. Next for Minnesota, got you bring in Jose Alvarado. Also brought in campaign. I forgot to put that on the graphic. Draft camp Justin Edwards at 28. Monte Morris leaves, but you do replace him with some good backup guards. So you run the same starting five back with Jose Alvarado, Justin Edwards getting some minutes. It's about all the changes for Minnesota. Here for Portland, we got Klingen being the number 7 overall pick. We just said about the DeAndre Ayton trade. You get the first round pick. You get Andrew Wiggins in. Delano Banton walks. DeAndre Ayton, obviously, we just said he left. So you fully insert Scoot as your starting one. Pretty much running the same starting five last year, except Robert Williams is now your full-time five. Brogdon, still on the team, didn't find a trade partner. Honestly, not the worst thing. He can just be a mentor. Andrew Wiggins is going to stay, doesn't get rerouted. Klingen's going to be your backup five. Phoenix, we got Tyus Jones coming in on a sign-in trade with Washington. Fontecchio, Kenyon Martin also coming in as on the minimums and free agency. Tyler Kolek is your number 22 pick. He should get some playing time, but maybe a little less now that I have them drafting Tyus Jones. Royce O'Neal leaves. Jordan Goodwin leaves. Damian Lee, David Rodder all leave. So you're running same starting five, but your new bench is Tyus Jones, Eric Gordon, who you re-signed, Fontecchio, Kenyon Martin, and Drew Eubanks, who you also re-signed. And run back Tyler Kolek. I have had my problems with the Suns, but at this point, the only thing you can do is just upgrade your bench, which I think this is an upgrade from last year's bench. Probably should have rethought the graphic a little more with San Antonio as the colors. Whatever. So San Antonio at pick 4, you draft Stephon Castle. At pick 9 or pick 8, you draft Nikola Topic. The reason I really like that idea, I've talked about it before in mock drafts, is that Stephon Castle wants to go to a place where you can be a 1, and he can be your backup point guard while Nikola Topic is injured. You can see what you have with like him as potential starting 1, and or playing some 1 in the future, and then you have Topic slide in there when he's ready. And then I have him just signing Dario Saric to be backup 4. Champagny leaves. Devontae Graham leaves. You get off that contract. Charles Bassey leaves, which is not a great thing, honestly, just thinking about it, because that Graham contract was such a nice tradable contract. Anyway, same starting 5 as last year. You run Topic, Castle, Branham, Saric, and Collins on your bench. For the Thunder, in T. John Salon, I just moved them from where we were supposed to be in Cleveland. I just had the Thunder draft them instead of 12. They don't reroute that pick in. You sign Jonas Valanciunas in Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey, which was already done in real life. Gordon Hayward walks, which I think he expects to do. There was a lot of, seems like a lot of headbutting with Gordon Hayward and the Thunder. So you run back, or you don't run back to starting 5, You get Shea, Dort, Williams, Holmgren, and Valanciunas, which you question why. They need rebounding, and Valanciunas brings some physicality, some rebounding, which would be tremendous for this team. Bench, Casey Wallace, Alex Caruso, what a nasty defensive duo. Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, and then obviously T-John Salon could be a future guy. I really wanted to get Ousmane Dieng minutes, but it seems like with this Alex Caruso trade, it's and then signing Jonas Valanciunas, I kind of just didn't find room for Dieng in the rotation. I can see him being traded. But Utah in big signing, Malik Monk, just get a really dynamic scorer for them. Cody Williams is your 10th overall pick. Out, no one. You sign back Taylor Horton Tucker too. So you run Sexton, Monk, Markkanen, John Collins, Walker Kessler. On the bench, Keontae George, Jordan Clarkson, Cody Williams, Taylor Henry, Omar Yurtseven. And I know the Jazz have a lot of guys that can trade. Markkanen probably not. It's an unlikely trade candidate. Sexton, again, unlikely, but John Collins, Walker Kessler, Jordan Clarkson are all trade candidates in this situation. They keep all of them. Run back like an actual, pretty good team next year. For Sacramento, we got Zach LaVine. I have them trading a first for Zach LaVine and Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter, which is probably a lot. But we're doing it anyway. It's a protected first, 2027, top or lottery protected. Sign Derek Jones. They have the space. He would just fit so perfectly to be their starting three. You re-sign your entire bench, and you also get Jared McCain to replace Malik Monk's production. So for the Grizzlies, final team in this, we discussed the Vucevic trade. It was Vucevic for Brandon Clark, protected first-round pick. Dalton Knecht is your number 9 pick. Kevin Looney, who's got released by the Warriors, you pick up. You lose Kennard in free agency. You lose Pippen Jr. in free agency. Zaire Williams is gone. You trade him. Jake LaRavia. Forgot to mention that. Jake LaRavia gets traded to the Dallas Mavericks. My bad. Zaire Williams also gone. So you get John Morant, Desmond Bain, Vince Williams, Jaren Jackson, Nikola Vucevic. You move Jaren Jackson to a more natural 4. Derrick Rose is still here. Connect, Gigi Jackson, Aldama, and Looney. That's a very nice bench. Could just be, just a really good bounce back year for Memphis to get back to like a top 4, top 3, top 2 seed. So that's it for my offseason predictions. None of it's going to be right anyway. But thanks for watching. Join the Discord server. See y'all.